Tell me what you saw today so far.
I mean, this has been a heavy day. You know, we started at a kibbutz, and basically house after house, you see where people were murdered, burned alive. It's just horrifying what happened. And then we went to the concert site, and you see where 300 people were murdered, and these were young kids having a great time, and out of nowhere, I mean, gunfire, parachutes coming in, all of that. We talked to a survivor who talked about what she heard, what she saw, how she hid, how so many people hid under dead bodies. But the fact that she heard so many women mutilated and raped, and even men, I mean, so much that happened. And then we went to a base that was attacked early on, and to see what they did to the girls with the video that just came out. We were in that room, and we saw where they had 50 people and they just started killing them. And those girls sitting there having watched their colleagues murdered. And then we went to the war room, and when they couldn't shoot their way into the room, where everybody was there they were heroes, trying to report back what was happening, they burned them alive. This was brutality at a level you don't even see in a horror movie.
Now, you said you were at the Nova massacre site and you kept thinking of your kids. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
I mean, you can't, when you go to the Nova site, you see this big field where, like, you can imagine this great concert, and they were camping out, and this was a fun time. And I looked at the faces of the victims, and they just reminded me of Rena and Nayland. I mean, these were young kids that were just like having the time of their life. And in 1 second, they're watching their friends be murdered, they're getting raped, people getting mutilated, all of that happening right in front of them. And they're trying to WhatsApp or send a text message to their parents. The trees, there was nowhere to hide. They were skinny trees. They were just running for their lives. And the fact that not only that, 300 died on the concert site, but when those got in their cars to get out on the road, Hamas had blocked off the road, so they went car after car and started shooting and burning people up.
Now, kids the same age as those kids are in American college campuses right now, having these encampments, harassing Jewish students. Are you concerned about the rise of anti-Semitism, not only being on college campuses, but being taught at college campuses?
I think there's two things wrong. We should not be taking Arab money into any of our universities. We should not be taking any foreign money into our universities. The second thing is, any university that is allowing that kind of threat to happen to any of their students, their tax-exempt status needs to be pulled. Your job is to keep your students safe. You can look at what's happening on American campuses. Those kids are not safe. That is not a situation I want my kids in. I would want anybody's kids in. And those colleges owe it to the kids there and to the future students they want to come to show us how they're going to handle that. One thing is free speech, but threats and intimidation, that's very different.
What do you want Americans to know going into November, especially the ones who don't believe what you saw today?
I want Americans to follow what we saw, what we heard. If you imagine 1,200 Israelis were murdered, raped, killed, burned alive, mothers separated from their children, siblings separated from themselves or their parents, all of that. And to know that everybody wants to blame Israel, who started this? And more importantly, in everything that we've seen, and we're meeting with intelligence and others, it wasn't just Hamas that did this. Thousands of Palestinian citizens flocked the fields. So Hamas broke it, and the Palestinian citizens came in and participated in the robbing and murdering of these people. And so it's not that we don't want good for the Palestinians, but the Palestinians have to separate themselves from Hamas because they've been indoctrinated themselves. And what we've seen is an entire generation that thinks their job is to murder the Jewish people, and we can't let that happen. And I will say over and over again, Israel is fighting America's enemies. You can't pretend this didn't happen. Everywhere you go, someone knows someone who was murdered. Everywhere you go, you see where cars were burned, where people were brutalized. Police officers here in this town, police officers that were killed. It's too much. Think about how we felt after 9/11. First, we were in shock. Then we went through great sadness. And then we went through anger of making sure it never happened again. Just imagine if we had gone through all of that and then people told us it didn't happen. It really didn't happen. It was America's fault. It's like stabbing someone in the back after they've already been shot. You know, we need to be with them. We need to stand with them. We need to believe them. The survivor at the concert, her telling me that wasn't easy for her to tell me her story of what she heard, what she saw, and what she experienced. She's doing that because nobody believes her. It's a horrible thing to do to a victim, and it's victimizing them all over again.